Alright, good morning everybody. We're back out on another build day, plastering a little tiny house. And yeah, I'm actually really happy. I kind of totally forgot to come back out here and wet this last night, but it's looking like we still have some chunks that are still wet, which is a positive thing. That's kind of hard to do in the middle, I guess we're at the end of May now, almost June. So we've got a nice kind of cool, damp-ish morning for the desert. So that's pretty ideal to be plastering. So I'm gonna get this finish coat on and yeah, run you guys through the plan on that. So we're gonna be starting here in this side because it's in the shade and kind of working our way all the way around to this back side that's in the sun. I'm hoping by the time I get all the way around, this will be in the shade. There's the one nice thing about plaster is you do want to work in the shade and don't hopefully have to sweat as much. But what we're trying to do today is do a real big push and get this all done as one continuous piece. That's the goal at least. So first thing I gotta do is wet the walls down. I like to wet the walls first, then go make my batch, then come back and re-wet it. And what that's gonna do is help that new plaster stick to the old plaster. Wet likes to stick to wet, wet does not like to stick to dry. Running you guys through our mixes, we have really 4 ingredients that we use. So clay, lime, sand, and water. For our first coat, you want to step out your materials. So you don't want to go straight from dirt to lime because that clay in there kind of helps them bond together. And then the lime will stick to lime. Like likes to stick to like doesn't like to stick to other things. So for our first batch, we use these 3-gallon buckets and we do a 6:1:1 ratio. So 6 parts concrete sand. This is stuff you could get from a wash. We get it trucked in just because it's a lot easier, but you want something with like a variety of grit sizes. So some like smaller stuff, some bigger stuff, that's something that's really helpful. And if it's all super silty, it's not gonna work really well. And if it's all just really gravelly, it's not gonna work really well. So this is concrete sand specifically for this, works great. We have our sifted dirt. I go through and secondary sift this, so we don't want a ton of the bigger gravel pieces. So we just have this little guy, and then this gets us a nice, good, fine, powdery clay. That's gonna help the lime, first layer of lime stick to the cob. And then we have our lime itself in these buckets, and this is our slacked lime like I talked about before. So again, the first coat we use 6:1:1, so 3 buckets of sand, half a bucket of lime, and half a bucket of clay. There we go. We also include straw, so I guess 5 ingredients. And what that straw does is help bind everything together. So it's kind of like acting like rebar in our concrete pad sort of thing. So this is all chopped straw. For our finish coat, which is what we're working on today, we do not need the clay anymore. So we use 3:1 ratio. 3 full buckets of sand, 1 full bucket of lime, and then instead of the straw, which you totally could use as your finish coat, I just don't personally like the look of it, we use what is called fiber mesh. It's relatively inexpensive. I want to say this was like 10 or 15 bucks. See, this is fiber mesh. It's just kind of like a little plasticky sort of clear thing, so that kind of helps bind everything together and you don't see these little fibers when the plaster's done, so it looks a little nicer in my opinion. So we'll just use kind of a couple pinches of this in the mix with our sand, lime, and water. Okay, we've got one more ingredient, and this is totally optional, but the guy who taught me plaster did this. I'm not big into the woo-woo stuff, but to continue the tradition, I figure why not? It's not hurting anything. So we've got, this is what's called selenite crystal powder. Basically, it's just supposed to have some like good juju vibes, some healing energy, some magic into it. So we put this into our plaster with some good intentions. And yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if it works or not, but it certainly doesn't hurt anything and hopefully provide some magic for the little house. This is why I like to wet the wall before I mix, and then also again after I mix. You can see how much that has already soaked up just in like 15 minutes. And so we don't want it to soak all the water out of our plaster immediately, because what that's going to do is cause a lot of cracking, and it's also not going to stick as well to the wall. So wet it, let it soak in for a while, come back, wet it again, and then you can do your plaster. It's looking pretty good. You can see some of our stuff from this morning starting to dry out a little bit. It's still kind of damp, which is great. I forget how much work plaster is. My arm is shot, and yeah, we're really pretty tired because I've been out here since like 7 a.m. But I've got this last little chunk, our back wall here, and a little bit on the side. So I'm thinking 2 more batches, hopefully we'll do it. Plaster work is done. It's exciting. It's been a very, very long project. It's always funny kind of going through these, and you get the cob on, you're like, wow, that looks so good. And then you get the rough coat on, you're like, wow, the cob looked so bad and this looks so much better. And then you get the finish coat on, you're like, wow. So I still got cleanup, I've still got paint. That was the biggest push on this build. Now it's just aesthetics, paint, fixing up the inside, all that. So I am absolutely beat. I very much need of a shower to get this lime off me, because I can tell it's burning my skin, and I need a beer. So that's the plan for the evening. Clean up and be done. Yay! And super happy with how this is coming out. I just want to come see the place before it got too dark. And here our carpenter bees are getting in for the night, and yeah, it's looking really good. I kind of came in here because we had a little extra plaster and just kind of worked on that shape a bit. Next project is going to be redoing this front and the little cabinet compartment thing here, but you can see it's bright. I'm going to be getting some color paint, something or another, for this soon. But yeah, this is still drying out from this morning. Kind of cool. Good day's worth of work. This house closer to being wrapped up. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this piece come together. It has been such a fun build to work on, and I'm so happy to see the progress going into it day by day to make a beautiful, functional shelter here out on the Terraform Homestead. If you're enjoying this kind of content, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because we've got a new video coming out for you showing the full process of painting and the experiments that we do with that, and what goes right and what goes wrong. So we've got videos coming out every week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want to learn more about doing plaster work and cob work and building your own shelter, shed, whatever you want to build out of the dirt from your land, I've got our full pump house video queued up for you right now, where we go through an entire process of building a structure from basically nothing. So be sure to go check that out. Thank you guys for watching. Go build something cool.